couple of quick housekeeping things. If you have any tech issues, please use the chat function. So it says it will go to all panelists, but I will respond directly if you have any tech issues. If you have a question for our panelists here today, please place that in the Q&A section of the chat, and we will get to those at the end of our session today. So there will be time at the end for your questions to be answered. Lastly, this is, as I mentioned, this is our 6th of 8 webinars for this month. So we invite you to join us next week, next Tuesday and Thursday. Tuesday will be an advocacy panel that's going to discuss the laws as they've changed over the past couple of years and what things people can expect. So that's going to be really informative. And then Thursday will be a returning citizens panel where we'll hear from the individuals themselves about how they've kind of handled the pandemic and things that they've seen and they've learned throughout the year. So really excited about those last 2 panels, and we invite you to those. Also, the PowerPoint slides from today's session will be made available at the end of the series. With that, let me just go ahead and introduce our panelists here today. So first off, I'd like to introduce Mouly Aloumouati. So Mouly is a business services supervisor at Fairfax County Department of Family Services. Since September of 1993, he has worked as the Employment Development Supervisor for the Virginia Serious and Violent Offender Reentry Program, also known as VASAFOR, reconnecting long-term serious offenders with job opportunities. Mouly works with low-income families to help find appropriate training, access livable wage jobs, manage the work release employment centers in both Fairfax and Prince William counties, and oversee wraparound services to help inmates transition back into society. So thank you, Mouly, for joining us.
Thank you, sir.
Next, we have Kelly Castrina. So Kelly is a general manager and managing partner at Uno's Pizzeria and Grill in Falls Church, Virginia. She's been with Uno's for over 21 years and has received several individual and store awards in leadership and customer service, including GM of the Year in 2019. Kelly graduated from George Mason University with a BA in speech communications. Kelly has worked with the Fairfax County work release program for more than 15 years. So thank you, Kelly, as well for joining us. Last, we have Mark Chernisky. Mark is a job developer for Virginia Career Works Northern Region. He cultivates relationships with employers to participate in various programs, including connecting them with incentives like on-the-job training, incubant work training, work opportunity tax credit, and federal bonding. Mark holds a master's from the University of Tennessee, go Vols, and a bachelor's from James Madison University, and has worked in state and local workforce and economic development for 20 years in Northern Virginia. So welcome, Mark. So thank you to all of our panelists here today. I will turn it over to Mouly as I switch to share their slides.
Okay. My name is Mouly Aloumouati, as Vincent mentioned. Been around for almost 28 years, and my specialty and expertise has always been towards folks, low-income families, and folks with challenges, criminal background folks, and other things. As we go through the first slide, just to let you know that I will be talking about each slide and cue Mr. Mark Chernisky to elaborate and explain further. So we are both going to be presenting this presentation that will be made available to you after the presentation. So first slide. A federal bonding program has been around for a while, just so you know. I would say since 1966, Department of Labor created something innovative for employers and for job seekers that are facing challenges in connecting with employers. Prior to that, it was pretty hard for job seekers because nobody wanted to take chances in hiring folks that have dishonesty in their past, that have felonies and maybe multiple misdemeanors in their past. And DOL and the McLaughlin Company came together to come up with an insurance and named it Federal Bonding Program. And that was designed strictly to hire or help hire folks with criminal background. Go ahead, Mark. You're muted.
Thanks, Mouly. Yeah, it's it's a very compelling incentive for employers to give them just peace of mind to bring folks on board and give them to initiate a second chance and to differentiate them from other job seekers where there's some might be other uncertainty. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mark. Next slide. What is a fidelity bonding program? Fidelity bonding program, like I said, it's some sort of insurance designed and created towards employers to help them offset and cover their tools, their monies, their equipment, and many other things. It is an incentive to employers to hire at-risk job applicants, and it covers any insurance to protect employers against employees' dishonesty. And in the event of stealing, forging, burning, all kind of dishonesty acts. The one thing I want you guys to take out of this slide is that this is not a liability insurance. This does not cover workman's comp. This does not cover health coverage for those that are covered by the Fidelity Bonding Program. Okay, and it's designed for the benefit of the hiring employers and small businesses in the area. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, like what Mouly said there, we'll talk about in a couple more slides some of the real compelling elements to this for job seekers to help them also to reframe their involvement with the justice system in a positive way, in a more positive way. Yeah, so go ahead.
Yeah, next slide, please. Why do we need these federal bonding program? Why? How does it help us? The number one reason is that it serves as an incentive, as a tool, as an encouragement, as something positive to place a job seeker with criminal background in a specific job. So most of employers view ex-offenders and at-risk job seekers as potentially untrustworthy. So with this FBP or federal bonding program, it kind of encouraged them to hire folks because this insurance covers the risk of hiring somebody with criminal background. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, no, I've got more for I'm saving mine for the next slide, so I'm good. Next slide,
please. Now, this is a pretty decent question for those folks that never heard about federal bonding program. Literally, who is covered by this federal bonding program? And you see the list. Any and all ex-offenders in our area and perhaps outside our area. Any social services or welfare recipient. Anyone part of the system is covered by the FBP program. Any youth or somebody that's entering the workforce at the very beginning. Any youth between 14 and 24 years old. Any folks and every folks with disability. And all other needed bonding for any job for any reason. So, an example for that. a person that came from abroad, that has a work history abroad in a different country, but in the United States, we don't know their history, and perhaps we don't view their resume as a representation. They can actually get a bonding insurance to cover that fact. Anything you want to add, Mark?
Yeah. So one important point is that it's not just for ex-offenders. So if an employer, if somebody presents, is talking to an employer and says, I'm eligible for federal bonding, they're not necessarily confessing that, hey, I just got out of jail or I've been incarcerated in the past. You know, it could be anybody for any reason who might be just maybe in a little more challenging and desperate situation that where an employer might perceive there to be a temptation to steal something from the workplace.
Yeah, the one thing to keep in mind here is, and this is perhaps for a workforce professional, an employment specialist, if you know, and we're not doctors, we're not disability doctors here, but if you notice there's some hidden disabilities, there are folks out there that can't concentrate very much, but they're not diagnosed, they don't have a doctor's note, right? So they might manifest as some sort of hidden disability. You can easily introduce the federal bonding program with no problems. Next slide, please. Okay. Why do employers need to have a bonding to hire a person? It's literally, it covers and it protects their business from dishonesty, theft, larceny, and or embezzlement. And I'll give you an example to further shed some light about this. You have an HVA person employee utilizing the van with close to $10,000 in tools. And this person travels from one residence or business to perform their job, daily duties. And all of a sudden the manager sees the returned van missing equipment. So the federal bonding program can cover up to $5,000 to purchase the tools that are missing. So, and that's pretty clear anywhere. You have a person working in a kitchen, let's say Uno's, and somebody walks away with trays and other utensils, knives, whatever. If the person is bonded by the federal bonding program, Uno's can file a claim to replace those equipment. Mark, you want to add anything?
So in a typical case of a job seeker, they might be walking into a restaurant or a store or an office, to apply for a job, and they wouldn't walk in and say, hi, I'm I'm eligible for a bond. When can I start? They would wait till later on in the process when they're interacting with a decision maker. But when you get further in the process and you meet with a decision maker, well, they still probably have other people that they need to convince that hey, this is the person, and so where we want to do is give them. If I'm the job seeker and Mouly is interviewing me and he's got other managers or supervisor of his that he's got to buy into his recommendation, this is a tool to give him and his superiors, the peace of mind that to give me the second chance I need, but it puts it in a positive light that, hey, there's a community support behind me in my job search, in my transition.
Yeah, thank you, Mark. But there is something I would like to add to this is that $5,000 in a claim might not be enough from one employer to another. Make sense? Let's say you hired somebody at a techie company and somebody walks away with a server worth 20 grand. When you place a person in that certain job and you notice that the value, the $5,000 might not be enough, you can apply multiple bonds up to 5. And that could will be equal to $25,000. Does that make sense? So for a small deli, 5,000 might be enough, you know, but for a high-end employer, the equipment might be worth a whole lot. And so, but the federal bonding program can cover that individual up to $25,000 by applying 5 federal bonding programs, because each one is worth $5,000. Thank you. Next slide. Yes. Very good question. How long does this insurance last? A single federal bonding program or federal bonding claim or insurance only covers 6 months. Once you issue a federal bonding coupon against that job seeker to an employer, the clock starts ticking for 6 months. Another question that imposes itself is, can you do another? Yes, you can. You can apply another federal bonding coupon for an additional 6 months, but you cannot exceed 1 year. So somebody starts the job today, we can cover them with multiple coupons up to $25,000 for the first 6 months. And then once we're finished the first 6 months, we can do additional bonding program coupons for an additional 6 months. But after the 1 year or the 12th month, you cannot do any others, because eventually the employer has developed a trust, if you might say, and they need to buy their own liability and own insurance from the same federal bonding program. Okay.
Great.
So if you want to
Stackable. Next. No, I'm good. Next slide.
Next slide, please. Okay, where can you access federal bonding programs? Okay, at any and every workforce center. Most of the professionals that are in the workforce center nearby you should have been knowledgeable about this program, very equipped to help you, guide you through the process, seamless to you. All you need to do as an employer is express that you're hiring that individual. Once you say, I am hiring this person and I need them bonded, then the employment specialist should be able to help you. You can go to your local employment services center. You can go to the Virginia Employment Commission, VEC. You can go to any agency administering employment services, OAR, UCM, any other nonprofit organization providing employment services should know about this program. And they know how to access it. They know how to help a local businesses access it and get their potential hires bonded. Okay, now when the rule of thumb, if you don't know how to access it, call one of the Virginia Career Work Centers. There's one in Annandale, Prince William County. There's one in Fairfax. There's one, in Alexandria. And you will have, in addition to that, you will have our names and contact and email addresses. When in confused situation, just email us, call us. When you call, leave a message. and we will guide you through it. I guess we'll go into the next slide, Mark.
There you go. Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
The the federal bonding program covers you from the day one on the job. Even though, let's say, we didn't through the process in administering what we need to do administer with that job seeker, the bonding program covers that job seeker the very first minute they start the job. Even though as soon as you express as an employer, as a job seeker, that you are to be bonded, it covers you since the first day of hire. Make sense? And if you're outside Fairfax, Prince William, and Loudoun counties, we know how to connect you to those other counties to get you taken care of. Thank you. Next slide. Okay. Okay. This is once you know that somebody has a criminal background and or eligible for the federal bonding program and you want them to be bonded, you express that need. You're going to need their full name, their date of birth, the nature of their charges, and we immediately issue a bondable letter. We issue a bondable letter as the very first step to show that job seeker is eligible for the program. I'm talking slow so we can all, get the message across. So I can go through this pretty quick. Mark knows this very well, but we want to make sure that you grasp something today and have the least questions, hopefully. But if you have questions, we're willing to answer them today or another day. And Vince is very open-minded. He would send us those questions and we can do what we need to do. But this is the first bondable letter that you get. Go ahead, Mark.
So, what we've got here is we've redacted the first line of a bondable letter, and what happens is the eligibility, the purpose of the letter is for the job seeker or talent person out there job hunting to have that to carry with them when they go job hunting, when they go to interviews. Then when they get they start to advance in the process with the employer or employers, because you can have multiple jobs, you can have multiple bonds for multiple, if you have multiple part-time jobs, for example. So what you do is, when you get to the point in the negotiation where there's on the verge of an offer or there's an offer and there's a discussion about, whatever might be the background issue, you're going to say, look, I'm very interested in this job, and I think you'll be able to tell within, 2 hours, at least 2 days, if not 2 hours, about what kind of a contribution I'm going to make in your organization. Now, I know that your concern, your process includes doing a background check, and I want you to hear from me first that I did go to court and I was adjudicated for some charges, recently or several years ago or whatever, your case may be. And I want, but I have been working towards, transitioning to, a more trustworthy lifestyle. And getting this job is a big part of that. And I have a community organization behind me, helping me with my transition. So this bond eligibility letter is if you or anybody else that you need to talk to about me, to sell them on me, it has any reservations, this should give you some extra peace of mind. And you can use this bond for $5,000 up to $25,000 for 6 months of peace of mind while I transition the organization and convince you, to keep me. So does that, I hope that makes sense to folks, but that's more or less the script that I give to every one of my case participants and my program participants when they get a bond eligible letter. That helps them to say, to bring up the point about having been involved with the justice system without having to say, yeah, I just got out of jail and I really need a job because, you know, my wife, my husband, whatever, is sick of seeing me on the sofa. You know, then now they could say, look, I have a team of people helping me with my transition. We even use this, and I know Renee Brown is in the audience here. That we even use this in our work release programs in Fairfax and Prince William for folks who aren't even out of jail yet. You know, use this to cover them. And for Kelly's here to help document that success. Anyway, so I hope that helps. Go ahead,
Yes,
Willie.
yes, it does, Mark. I appreciate you expressing and shedding some lights about that. Most of people, job seekers with issues in their background, struggle with a couple things. They struggle with the question on an application. Have you been convicted in the last 5 or 7, 10 years or ever? And the best answer to that is yes, answer properly and honestly that you have a background. And the next sentence is and you'll be willing to explain during an interview. So to give yourself a chance to meet that person, that interviewer face to face. And once you have that opportunity to meet face to face, then you take a bonding letter, because the bonding letter is going to help you seal the deal. It shows stability. It shows that you're a better person, and you can express that. Yes, I have a felony back in 2010, but I'm a much better person now. I'm a very responsible. I have child support to pay. I have this, and this is to further seal the deal. This is a bonding letter, shows that I am eligible because based on my last behavior, and with a big smile, straight in the eyes, that you are a better person, and this bonding letter is to help you seal the deal for that interview. Thank you. Next slide, please. So, and I think we covered some of the stuff. The bonding letter, bonding program helps you seal the deal, help you increase the opportunity to get a job, helps you. All the paperwork is easy because most of the paperwork is done by the workforce professional, workforce coordinator.
And Mouly.
Yes.
Mouly.
Yes, of course, Mark. We have a couple of people in our area, but I don't want to forget about other counties. They have point of contacts that I don't want to discredit or say that they don't exist in other areas. Every county should have. Everybody should have a reentry counselor in their area, county, city, whatever, and every county should have a person representative of the federal bonding program. And if those are on the audience today, they're welcome to call Mark, myself, or some of the other partners like Renee Brown and perhaps some others in the area. So yes, the U.S. Department of Labor sponsors the federal bonding program 100%. They have federal bonding coupons insurance for employers throughout the year for the past 55 years. So if somebody tells you you're not bondable or you don't have a bonding coupon, it's just because they need to go through the proper channels. And Mark, Renee, myself will be glad to walk you through. Next slide, please.
Last slide.
Okay. While you're looking at the contacts, if you have questions about the funding, plus what's on the chat box. I want to say something about employers in the area. And I really, really would like Kelly to pitch in on this matter, if she can. Most of employers in our area, they understand you have issues in the past, but they just want somebody, an employee, a job seeker that would show up on time, do what they're supposed to do, and work honestly and be supportive to the business. They don't want somebody that would make the business look bad or a manager look bad. They want somebody to show up on time and don't bring their issues to work. And when they're finished their shifts, they can go home and do their thing. They could really care less what you do outside. But when you to the employer business site, they want you to work diligently and do your thing. And prior to getting a job, of course, the bonding program can help you. And be open-minded to ask for further trainings. You can ask the site manager. You can ask any work professional. Now, all the programs support you whether or not you're employed. We used to look at income guidelines, right, Mark? We don't anymore.
Yeah.
If you make $40,000 a year, if you're a manager, if you are an assistant manager at a job, we have programs that can assist you, enhance your career, obtain certificates, change career, pursue other dreams, and so forth. So I asked Kelly to pitch in on the matter that they just want somebody to show up on time and do their thing. Please go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you, Mouly, so much. And thank you for this opportunity to speak on this. You are 100% correct. Really, when I've been a part of this program, and it has been a very positive program for us at UNOS. It's something I've become extremely passionate about as well. You are, again, correct in saying, we just want someone to be reliable, dependable, show up on time, and do and give 100% that the job requires. So that is really what we ask. We kind of outline that. We make sure that they know that that's the expectation with us. And obviously we're in a customer service business, and we provide that training of customer service and what right looks like when it comes to taking care of the guests. And it's been something that's been extremely positive for us as the employer, as well as beneficial to the employee as well.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
I'm not sure if it's my time to go on. Absolutely.
Thank you. Go ahead, Mark. Last words.
No, that's Kelly. I'm like, Kelly, I'm done. I'm ready for Kelly.
Oh, okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you. Again, thank you all for the opportunity to speak on this platform. I really appreciate it. As Vincent had mentioned, I've been with UNOS for 21 years. Worked when I was at school in college as a host, and then moved up. We started the program when I was at the Fair Oaks Mall location in Fairfax. And then when I became the GM of the Falls Church location in Merrifield, we continued the program there. It's a great program, like I had mentioned, that I'm very, very passionate about. It's great for so many reasons. As I mentioned, it's good for the employer as well as the employee. It gives the employee some things that it helps the employee learn is strong interaction with people, our guests, fellow team members as well. It challenges their work ethic. It gives them a space to receive feedback on their performance. We do, evaluations periodically of the employee and provide that feedback to them as well, and give them the opportunity to provide feedback to us as a management team as well. So it really gives that space, of give and take with accepting the feedback, providing it, and giving it as well. So that's been very beneficial, I think, you know, just not on a work level, but just on a personal level as well. It gives them, like I mentioned, it gives them an opportunity to show their work ethic, what they're capable of doing, you know, when it comes to that. It also provides employment for them when they come home, when they're out of the program. And that's something that, you know, I'm extremely proud of. We still have employees working with us that finished the program years ago. And, you know, we, you know, continue to give them feedback as we would, you know, with any employees. So that's been a very big success to this program and our establishment, the retention part of it. I think it's very important to know that, you know, we are still there for these employees when they do come home, and that they can continue employment with us, and that we want them to continue that employment with us. Again, it helps them just as much as it helps us. We're not just wanting to hire because of this, you know, program. We want them to stay and grow with the company. And there are plenty examples of how that has happened with the employees that we have now, that have just continued to grow with our company. As an employer, it gives us employees, as you mentioned, Mouly, a big part of this is it gives us as an employer to have employees that are reliable and dependable, show up on time, give 110% when they are working with us. We know they're going to be here on time. We know they're going to work their full shift. And again, give that customer service and teamwork element that we talk about through our interviewing process, as well as, you know, just our training. You know, we have employees that have become trainers that are responsible for training others that come in, whether they're in the program or not. So that's been a nice platform for them as well to, you know, elevate, you know, their success. So we, you know, these are just the experiences that I've had with this program overall. And again, 15 plus years with the program is definitely, you know, something that we're very proud of. You know, something that I always say to, you know, the employees that have been with the program are, you know, they do the work. We just give them the opportunity. And that's really it. You know, they're very appreciative and thankful, but, you know, like I spoke to a young man, you know, recently, you know, who thanked me for everything, and, you know, just giving him the job. You know, I said, you know, you don't have to thank me. You know, you did the work and continue to do the work. We just provided the opportunity. So, you know, one thing I did want to share, recently, I had a young man who is still with us. He got out, you know, just a few years ago, actually. I think it's been under 2 years. He wanted to share something with me. He was extremely excited about it. I wasn't sure what it was, but he recently got his voting rights restored. And he did the work, and he was so excited to share that moment with me, which I was honored, actually, that he did that. And you know, he pretty much came rushing up to me and let me know. And he said, "I know that you would want to know this news," and I absolutely did. And I was honored that he again shared that you know, that moment with me, and you know, and did the work. Again, he did the work. So, you know, the positives, you know, definitely outweigh any possible negatives in my experience. You know, it's just as important for us as an employer as it is for the employee. I am so thankful that we've been part of this program and had the opportunity. I'm very thankful to Renee Brown for always being helpful in this process and very supportive. The bonding piece that you spoke about has been very seamless and helpful. And you know, she's been a true asset to us in helping us along the way with constant communication, evaluations, follow-up, and things like that. I feel like we get stronger and stronger in the process as we've gone along. And you know, this is again something that I strongly recommend, and you know, hope that it's something that we can continue to get back to, because it's definitely something that we've missed. So, but it's really, really nice to still have you know, people that we employ and just continue to see them and their talent grow and their growth within the company. So thank you very much.
So Renee, it sounds like Kelly needs people.
Yes.
We need some.
Good people, yes.
That's good. We got a hot lead for the day. That's a
Hey,
very good time.
Vance, do we still have time? Or how are we doing with time?
We're doing okay with time. So I think if anybody has anything that they wanted to add on after Kelly, you're more than welcome to. If not, we can just go into the question portion.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
In my past experience, Vince, Kelly, and Mark, we had people asking us how they can answer the criminal background question during an interview. It is for some people it's nerve-wracking, it's uncomfortable, and folks sometimes really they stumble into it. They don't know when it's coming, and it really either it can make you or break you and it could lose you a job, and it really depends how you answer that question during an interview. And I'm going to ask Mark that question. You're sitting as a job seeker, and you, this scenario, and you have a criminal background, for example. How would you answer that question? And just to put a case scenario for our audience, we have 38 people. I'm pretty sure there are some professionals and some job seekers that can benefit from that answer. Thank you.
Well, my counsel folks regularly to be direct, you know, and forthright about that question, you know, to because it's going to get out that they, you know, whether employers do a background check or not, if they might state it in their process, it can come back to haunt you, whether they skip that step or not. And so I do generally practice with folks when I have time, you know, to prepare them for that, to answer that question, not necessarily to script it, but to at least be like, to be comfortable, to have to cope, because they get anxious when they get to the situation, and there's some temptation to skip around it. And it does help to give folks, you know, to a practice session or practice sessions, and or even a written, you know, script from talking to them and walking through it to get prepared for that moment in the interview or the negotiation process. Kelly, do you have antennas that you've developed over the years for folks that you know, that have this issue, and you see it coming, or how does it come up in your process? Have you guys banned the box?
Yeah, I would just say, you know, just to recommend, you know, to obviously be honest and forthcoming with it. I mean, we are fortunate again to have this and to work with this program. So I do the majority of the interviewing, but I know that that does not define you. And I've, I'm very open to that. So I want to make the interviewee feel as comfortable as possible when it comes to that question, and just, recommend obviously the honesty, and again, really kind of lead in to, saying somewhat of, something of like, we know that this is something in your past, or, we know we are open to, you as a applicant and experience and skill set. And, I just, recommend, that's something that we really focus on. And it's been beneficial to us to be working, with this program again, and just be able to open our minds.
Thank you, Kelly. I just want to add a comment here, and I think we mentioned some of it already. The one thing that I wouldn't do as a job seeker is being in denial during an interview. Yeah, you say, okay, I stole a piece of property and now I have stolen property charge in my background. And then you come forth with it. You said what you said, it's already there in your background, but coming in denial by saying, okay, yeah, but I was just with friends. Yeah, it wasn't me, it was just being in denial with your criminal background makes it hard for you to get a job. You should assume responsibility. Yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I'm a much better person today. That was 5 years ago. I don't know what I was thinking, but I'm a much better person. I have a family now, I'm grown up, I have transportation. And the other thing to be careful with during an interview is the body language. Be careful how you raise your hand. Be careful how with your gestures, how you dress when you're going to an interview, the timeliness, show up on time. All that counts against you besides the background. And represent yourself well. So again, repeating, do not be in denial. Be careful with your body language. The macho body language inside the system does not help you at all. It really, you lose a job right there. And dress, you don't have to overdress. Just dress clean. Don't go in there with a swag. Don't go, just be respectful to managers when you go to their premises, because they have a job to do. They don't have to worry about you doing what you're doing. They just want somebody, like I said, to show up and do their job. That's all about it. That's all there is to it. Thank you very much. That's all I have to say today. Thank you, Vince.
Great, thank you. So we had a couple questions. I'll start with Kelly. This is a question for you. So for do all UNO locations participate in this program, or is it just the Falls Church location?
Well, as far as I know, everybody is open to doing the program. Fairfax County has been pretty seamless and communicative in allowing us to participate in this. So I would recommend, reaching out to the various counties. But we have had discussions as general managers and assistant managers, restaurants, that everyone is open to doing this program without a doubt. I know that in, I believe Ellicott City is in Howard County, and they recently, well, actually it was, pre-COVID, they started participating in this with, I think, a cook or a dishwasher because of the fact of our successes and our conversation in regards to this. So it just kind of filtered out. They took advantage of it. But I know that everyone is willing and open to working with their prospective counties when it comes to this program.
On that point, on Kelly's point, Vincent, I want to say so last year, the Virginia Career Works opened another work release program that's it's still embryonic, but has has active job seekers as well. That's in Manassas, Prince William. So in addition to Fairfax work release program, the Manassas Prince William is going to be screening and taking on new clients as we speak. A quick update about the Fairfax program is that they're in the midst of reopening the work release portion. They're referring folks to us right now that are planning their release, and we're working with them to help them in their job, laying the groundwork for their their release and their job search post release. So we'll be reaching out to employers and reintroducing the program to them in this new context, and then eventually expect things when. But we know that, but there's some Fairfax Department of Health and other things out of control that are minimizing or limiting how soon the jail is able to allow work release folks to commence and start leaving pre-release. So but please let us know if you have any clients that need help. We're turning lights back on. We're opening our centers back up.
Great.
And as I mentioned to Mark, I will be in touch with the acting general manager of the UNOS in Manassas this coming week, now that I know, or early next week. So very excited to hear that. Thank you so much for that information. One more thing, they're out of our kind of region, but I do know in the past, Hagerstown, Maryland, if anyone has any contacts with them, they actually had employed as well some work release individuals.
Awesome.
I did have a follow-up question just on that. Y'all had kind of touched on this already, but how has just kind of the pandemic changed the operations for you all, just in general?
So I'll start. I'm going to say, Vincent, what's interesting is that people that are in our programs post-release and in Manassas that were, because they're allowed to have a cell phone while they were in the program, and that allowed them, obviously they had it after they got released in last year. We were able to keep in touch with a lot of people because they had that tool, and to follow some of them, at least for a few weeks after their early release last year, and to assist them in some ways, whether it was, getting them signed up with Legal Services of Northern Virginia, by the way, help for healthcare, and other services, when they were in the community a little earlier than they expected, or helping them transition and hang on to their employment last year when in all the chaos. But having cell phones has proved to be a really key survival resource for them, so that we can keep in touch with them, whether they're incarcerated or not. So that was one of my big takeaways, is how valuable that service was.
For me, it's gotten. I wanted to say it's gotten better, because we developed easy, streamlined services virtually. We converted all face-to-face training in the centers to virtual trainings immediately. Department of Family Services closed the doors on March 15th, I believe, 2020. By that time, my team and I had virtual training set up already. We were able to obtain appropriate tools and equipment to run those virtual trainings. We asked all training providers to work online. and we started doing ed learning. We started doing what we needed to do and learn on the job to provide services for folks at home. And some folks really benefited from the virtual trainings because they have kids, they have daycare issues, and many other things. So they were able to benefit online and work with them and tailor our training to make it appropriate for certain folks. For the jail systems, Prince William and Fairfax, we continue to get some folks and work with them virtually. In Manassas, Mark and I went in there off hours, and we set up the virtual setup with TV. As the folks going into the center, we're able to see them from home, and they sit in front of a monitor, and we can see them and provide their needs and do what we needed to do. Send them job leads. We had laptops equipped with internet and other devices, scanners, printers, copiers. And folks at the jail, at the Work Release Center in Manassas, were able to file an application, scan it, send it. We even made it possible for some employers to work out all the details virtually and obtain a job and hired. So that's my answer to that question.
One other thing that has happened is what we've taken a lot of the job fairs we used to plan for community job fairs. We've been doing them virtually now. So there's a whole bunch of tools that have emerged for that. Honestly, Zoom is one of them, but it takes a little bit of adapting for it, and it's not exactly perfect for that kind of event. But we've been using collaborating with Virginia Employment Commission has a tool that they purchased a license to, and we've tried a few others out. And we did 2 construction industry job fairs back in June and July. We did a second chance virtual job fair in March, the middle of March of this year. We did warehousing and transportation and technology and healthcare jobs. So we've done, and then there have been several statewide virtual job fairs so I'd say we've done about at least 11 or 12 virtual job fairs, when we had done 0 before the pandemic. They have some trade-offs. The nice thing is that people can register for those. They upload their resume and let us know who they are. And then if something happens and they miss the event, because life happens, we at least have them signed up. We know that they expressed an interest in they needed help, and we can reach out to them. But the nice thing about those is that we can literally engage the whole region for once. Where we used to plan physical job fairs in Annandale or Mount Vernon or Reston or Leesburg. Now, Leesburg employers can sign up and do it from their living room, and the Mount Vernon employers and Falls Church employers can log in, and so can job seekers. So we don't have it's helped minimize the spatial thing. I think in the future, it's very, very likely we're going to have like a hybrid events where we'll have a physical and virtual component to it, so that the people who are maybe they can't get childcare for that day that they thought they could get, so they can still participate a little bit, or people who the shyer people can stay home and they can do it online. Yeah. Whereas the folks who maybe a little more like me and Mouly like to get out there and meet and mingle with people, would like to shake hands, or fist bump or elbow bump, whatever we do with the, we'll have a physical component to it of some kind, so that we can, so people can show, really show their whole, real self. And that for hospitality is critical, I think, too, to get folks to get up and go out. Kelly, I'm very curious to know how your recruiting has changed to be, compliant and stuff this year.
Well, I've actually continued, again, to be in touch with Renee, just, on, various evaluations of, past employees. She's been in contact, which has been great. I can just speak to the fact that I am excited and can't wait for, this to, reopen, however that looks, and for us to kind of get the word out that we need good, reliable people, back, whatever their, background is. And I really look forward to it. And I'm really glad to hear that this is going to be an opportunity again, because, having people, with a strong work ethic and showing up on time and being reliable, again, so many positives to the program. I really look forward to, again, with that. So, any avenues that open up, I'm happy to be a part of, whether it's for interviewing at various locations, or just helping with resources, just to get people back and working. I, would love to be a part of it, and I'm happy to help.
Thank you.
I had a follow-up question, and I'll start with Kelly. So we've seen a lot of movement, as you all have talked about, to kind of this virtual space, and a lot of that is dealing with like virtual interviews. Do you all think that like the virtual job fair, virtual interview model is something that will continue even if we go back to some semblance of normalcy? And if it is going to continue, what kind of advice do you have for people as they go into virtual interviews versus in-person interviews?
Well, actually, we have not done any of those, or had the opportunity to, but I think that it would be a great opportunity. And I think, we would definitely be open to it. And, again, I mean, would be definitely open to doing something like that. I think it would just be as valuable. I mean, Mouly spoke to, body language and being forthcoming, and things of that nature. I think you can pick that up as well, in a virtual interview. And if that's something, we haven't done them, but that's something that I would love to explore and be open to when it comes to that. And, the advice I would give would be honestly the same as, what we talked about going into an interview, being professional, speaking to any experience that you may have in the past, any trades, whether it's related to a position in a restaurant or not, and just, conducting yourself and being, open and honest, and as well for the employer to, just take those interviewing skills and skill sets into, a virtual interview, and, just looking at it as basically if the person's, in person, because we all have to do things different, these days, and we're aware, but it should not hinder, job opportunities for people because they may not be able to show up in person, and they may just have the opportunity to go virtual. We shouldn't have any restrictions with that. So again, this has been just as beneficial to us as it has for them, and we need to continue to provide those opportunities. And this shouldn't get in the way while we're, readjusting and things like that. I'm just, I wish we had, for me, it just personally had thought of, this sooner, or, gotten into it quicker, but there's still work to be done.
Good. Mark or Mouly, virtual space, tips on virtual interviewing.
I definitely, I recommend people all treat virtual interviews as if they're regular interviews, dress for success, These days, you got to work on whatever your background might be, if it's virtual or otherwise. Try to the best of your ability. Like, you've probably seen me cut out my video, once or twice because my dog needed to be let out. She's obsessed with cicadas now. So anyway, that's not relevant, but still, life happens at home for sure. So you got to be to the best of your ability. And I've only got 2 teenagers who apparently can't watch my dog. So that's that I need a 3rd teenager, I guess. But anyway, so there's try to think through what other things that can happen if possible to try to minimize that interruption, or warn people at the outset that this is unfortunately I've got a one wild card in my space here where I'm interviewing from, and if it happens, forgive me for a second, but I might have to let the dog out. I might have to do something like that. Or and I think a lot of employers these days are accommodating to that. So that's one thing. But then the being able to adapt is also what a lot of employers are looking for. So communicating and having a little sense of humor or something that can get you a long way too.
On my side, I would say I have an example. I had friends come over, okay? And one of my friend's significant other, I didn't know what she was doing. And we were in the backyard. And then she was preparing, looking at backgrounds, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe she's enjoying the background. And then as I approached to see if I could help, she was actually set up for an interview, a job interview, the very initial job interview. So she took a chair from the table. She walked all the way to the background. She made sure she had flowers in the background. She made sure she was dressed properly. She made sure she had a drink. She made sure her laptop was connected to internet. So to me, that's a person that's going to get a job. And as soon coming from the workforce development background, immediately I wanted to entertain that. Immediately I wanted to help her set up and created for her a quiet environment to proceed with her interview. And that's the way every job interview should be treated. Mm-hmm. I can't say more. I can't say any more about it. So she still did what she did. She came to the hangout party, but yet she had the interview in her mind. And she prepared for it. She was ready 10 minutes before that interview. She had the laptop open, connected to the internet. She had her phone sitting right next to it, and her drink, her soda.
That's pretty cool.
I know. And I'm like, I didn't know what she was doing. She brought a jacket, a suit jacket to put during the interview. So I thought that was really, really neat. So I can't say more. That's enough example for everyone to do what they need to do when they're trying to get a job. Thank you. Thanks, Vince.
First, thank you all. So I think those were all of our questions. Thank you all so much for joining us. I wanted to give the panelists one last chance to say something, final remarks, something quick as we close out. But please, everybody, before you leave, take a couple minutes to fill out our brief survey that I put in the chat. But I'll start with Kelly, and then we can go to Mark, and then Mouly can finish us off.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to say thank you again for everything and allowing me to be part of it, and just kind of spread the word to let everyone know that this is, just as much of a positive experience for the employee as it is for the employer. It's definitely what you make it. Be open-minded and be willing to embrace this platform and this program. It's so beneficial. The growth that you can see from individuals is just, you know, second to none, and it's very rewarding. And again, just to kind of reiterate, we provide the opportunity, and these individuals do the work. And I'm just proud of the retention and the positives that we've seen from this. So thank you.
So, you know, I don't need to say, I just need to take Kelly with me everywhere I go to reach out to other employers. So, yeah, I said our work release program and our program and other efforts for folks post-release employment, you know, please give us a call. If you have a client that's in your caseload that has that barrier to employment and needs some extra help, or if you are an employer and you need people, we definitely have a lot of success stories. I think we actually, when I say we, I mean, you know, I have a few compared to the Renee Brown, who is, she's flirting with 1,000 cases that she's worked with. She's a ringer. So she's, you don't see her here, but no, she's here anyway. So that's all I'm going to say to wrap up. Go ahead, Mouly.
I want to say thank you to everyone, Vince, Kelly, and Mark, for participating in this. I'm sure a lot of people benefited from this. Continue as a job seeker, continue to tap into events like this, because you're going to learn a lot more every time you participate. And lastly, that our email and phone numbers were provided to you. The slides will be sent to you. Please don't hesitate to send us a blurb, and we'd be glad to help you. Mark and I, Kelly and myself, and Renee too, we'll be more than happy to help. Just let us know. And thank you very much.
Awesome. So thank you to all of our panelists for joining and speaking and giving your insights here today. We really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who attended today. Just a quick reminder to please take a minute to fill out our brief survey. It really helps us in moving forward and providing more content to you all in the future. And thank you for joining our series for this month. Just a reminder that next Tuesday and Thursday will be our final 2 sessions. Tuesday will be about advocacy and legislative updates. So hear about what's happening in the laws as they've progressed, and some new laws that are coming on the books in July. And then Thursday is our final panel and our closing thoughts, specifically looking at a panel of returning citizens themselves. So really looking forward to that. And we hope you all will join us for those 2 sessions. With that, thank you so much for joining us, and we hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Vincent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.